With every new year, I like to write myself a list of 101 things that I'd like to do or accomplish or try out over the course of the next year, and 2024 is going to be exactly the same, so this is my 101 things list, but as you can see, it doesn't really have anything on it. So today, we are going to be populating this list with the things that I want to get done in 2024. Rather than just launching in with a pen and writing down all of my ideas, the first step that I typically like to do is actually turn back to my current 101 things list, just make sure that it's all updated, and then go through and think about, of the things I haven't accomplished yet, do I want to bring those forward? So having a look at the list, you can see the general structure is that I've got a little task box along the side that I could tick off or color in to say I did the thing. We then have the task number so that I can keep track of 101 things, the task itself, and then the date of completion. The format that I have for 2024 is essentially the same, but going through, the first one we have here is have a solo date, and I'm thinking that's going to happen in December before the end of the year. I mean, the time that I'm filming this, it's actually the 17th of December, so I've got like half a month left. So there are going to be a couple of things that, if they don't happen this year, I'll carry them over, but they could still potentially happen in the last 2 weeks of the year. So have a solo date might happen. The next one was go to the US, which I did do as part of my Go Wild trip, which was very exciting. I wrote down that it happened on February 25th, but it actually happened on like February 28th, so we'll just change that. Then we have Go Wild, which is the reason I went to the US, so that one got done. Get a will. That one I will be carrying forward because I would like to do it, but I haven't done it this year. So rather than coloring in the box, I'm just going to draw a little arrow over the top. Same idea with have an art and wine night. I haven't done that yet, but I'd like to still do it, so I'll turn it into a little migrated arrow. Make a Pinterest cake. That one I'm not too sure about because I have actually had that on my list for a while. I carried it over from 2022's list actually, and given the fact that it's gone through twice, I'm not really too sure how interested I am in doing it, so we're gonna leave that there for now. Have a spa day. That one I would like to carry forward. It didn't happen this year, but hopefully next year. Do a proper website launch. I kind of like soft launched my website at the end of last year, like September-ish last year, so not quite the end. And I did mean to do a bit of a revamp of it this year. It did get a small revamp, but it hasn't had a proper launch. So we will migrate that one forward. The next one we have is have a staycation. This is one that I have done before, I just haven't done it this year, and it usually is a lot of fun. I'd like to have at least one staycation in 2024. Then number 10 is have a digger station, and I'd still possibly be curious to do that. I'm not too sure if I want to keep it on though, so I'm gonna keep it blank for now. The next one is have a favorite things day, and although that did get completed this year, this is one of those things that I like to do every year, so I'm still gonna be carrying it forward, just like as another iteration. Number 12 was to have good ramen, and that was done while we were in the US. We don't really have anywhere that does decently good ramen in Wellington. I mean, if you're in Wellington or if you've been to Wellington and you've had good ramen, please do let me know because I'd like to try and get some a little closer to home. But number 13 was go for high tea. That was done with my friends like Monica, Rachel, Scotty, Emily. It was just a really nice little outing. It was kind of just a bit of fun. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to putting that on my list for next year, but I'm not going to put it down at least initially. I do find that when I start populating my 101 things list for the next year, I don't fill up all 101 things in advance. I typically like to leave myself a little bit of empty space, and by a little bit I mean like half of them, just so that then as the year progresses and I think of other things that I want to do, then I can add them to them then. Number 14 is go to toast, and this is another one that's been on my 101 things list for a couple of years now, and I still haven't gotten around to doing it, and I'm not too sure how much I care anymore, so maybe I'll put it over, but for now it's just gonna stay as open. Number 15 is go to the Green Expo. Vogel and I did that for a little date day, and that was a bit of fun. And then we have set a date for our wedding, and I was so determined to do that this year, and it just did not happen. Vogel and I still are very much in the planning stages of like, what do we even want our wedding to be? Like, do we want a big thing, a small thing? Where kind of do we want it? So haven't sorted out any of those details, thus did not have a date set for it. That one I will be migrating over though, because I would like to start planning my wedding properly in 2024. Number 17 is make chicken korma from scratch, and I still want to do that, so we will carry that one forward. And as we're going through this, you can already see that there are quite a few that haven't been done yet. I mean, if we flip over, there are also quite a few that have been done, but I don't really put a lot of pressure on myself to 100% finish my 101 things list each year. This effectively acts as kind of like a snapshot of things that were important to me and things that I kind of mused with or thought about doing either at the start of the year or throughout the year. It also is kind of a record of achievement in terms of like little memory moments and stuff, but it's not too big a deal if I don't actually finish all of them. But anywho, the next one is to make tomato soup. That one was done in February because Jason had like way too many tomatoes. I think his dad might have given them to him. And I'm like, oh well, this is on my list, I'll take those off your hand. Then we have make good chicken noodle stir fry, and I have a sneaking suspicion that this did actually happen, but I don't know which day it happened on. So I'm gonna half cross the box as like a potentially happened kind of thing. Typically I use a half crossed box to say the thing has been started but not finished. So kind of fits the bill in that respect. The next one we have though is make a Patreon trailer, and earlier this year I made it so that I have memberships rather than just strictly Patreon. So we have our Patreon members and our YouTube members, but both of them have the same perks, so I just call the whole thing memberships. I would like to make a memberships trailer though, so I will carry that one forward. And then the next one is make an episode of Kai Time with Vogel. I do actually have the footage for it, so I'm gonna half cross it as something that was like started but is incomplete. We might finish it before the end of the year. I'm not very optimistic about that. I don't think it's actually gonna happen. I'm just very busy in December, but at least I can denote that it got started. After this, we have make a bullet journal basics series. That one happened in September, so that's fully crossed off. And then we have make stewed fruits. Now, my intention is that when I go to Melbourne for Christmas, which is like next week, I'm gonna be making stewed fruits with my dad, hopefully. So we're not gonna cross it off because it hasn't been started or completed, and I won't be carrying it forward just in case it still happens this year, if that kind of makes sense. So if it happens, I'll cross it off. If it doesn't happen, I'll carry it forward to next year. Number 24 was write a letter for 2024 Jess to open. That one got done on the 1st of January, but this is another one that I'm going to carry over to my next year list as a write a letter for 2025 Jess. Number 25 was Rachel's favorite things day, and that one happened the day before her birthday. This one was a lot of fun. It was just taking Rachel to a bunch of places that she enjoys being in, so like some bookstores and an eatery that she likes to go to and this kind of stuff. And then we went back to hers and watched some anime, and it was just a good time. And then for 26, we have do another month of planning series, and this was done at the same time as the bullet journal basics series, so it was a video per day for the entire of September, all about the like basics of bullet journaling. The intention was, for number 27, to do another 12-hour live stream where we made a giveaway journal, but that one didn't actually happen, and similarly do another giveaway journal. The idea here was that I was going to do one at mid-year and one at the end of the year, but didn't really happen. Possibly in future, but I'm not going to add it to my 101 things list just yet, because I kind of want to see how I want to tackle that before I write it down. Number 29 is to try Vietnamese coffee, and while I'd still be curious to try it, I don't think it necessarily needs to go on my 101 things list. Oftentimes, if I'm putting something onto the list, it's something that I really have a drive to try. And this one would be kind of more like a, oh, it might be nice to try one day, but I'm not going to put it on like to a formal goals list. The next ones we have are try a square bullet journal and try a traveler's size bullet journal. Those ones both happened this year. And then one that I put on my list every single year is celebrating my birthday. So because this year I turned 32, I put it on the slot 32. For 33, we have donate blood, and this is another one that keeps coming up on my list and I keep not doing. And it's one of those things that like I think I would like to do, but I'm not sure if I want to do it enough to put it on my list again. So kind of the same as the try Vietnamese coffee, like I would like to do it at some point, but we'll see. One that I do know that I want to do though is hosting a cocktail night. That one sadly didn't happen this year because my cocktail buddy got pregnant, and it's like, well, I'm not going to host a cocktail night if you can't drink. That feels a little bit mean. Number 35 was to soft finish my office organization. We did that at the start of the year, and then I kind of redid it at the end of the year. And then number 36 was to get a living space storage solution. And effectively, this was just me moving my bookshelf from upstairs downstairs to hold all of those things. In January, we also made a new Patreon tracker printable, which was cool. That one was a pentagonal monthly tracker. tracker. And then number 38 was to develop a new Patreon tier, which I didn't do, and I'm not too sure if I really want to do that next year. I have some different kind of goals related to that kind of space. Number 39 was to develop my YouTube memberships. That one certainly happened. We bought that in April as a kind of different way to support the channel that wasn't through Patreon. And number 40 was to finish VRA. This is one that I started but did not complete. So we can half color in the box, but I don't think I'm going to carry that one forward. I don't have much of a drive to... The next one is getting a new car. Anyways, we just don't have a lot of a drive to finish VRA, but getting a new car is something that we would like to do because our current car is not living its best life. Number 42 though was to get side tables for the living room, and I think this is something we'd kind of still like to do, but we haven't really decided what we want in terms of side tables, so I'm gonna leave that one for now. And then we have consolidate and organize my Spotify playlists, which has been something that has been on my list for ages and is still something I would like to do. It's just actually finding the time to sit down and do like a dedicated clear out of my Spotify is not something I have been able to build into my schedule just yet. Number 44 is make and release a physical product, and we did start working on that, it just didn't actually fully happen. So half cross, not a full cross. Will I bring it forward? I'm not too sure. One that we will be bringing forward though is having a movie marathon weekend. While we did kind of have loose movie marathons, they weren't specifically a movie marathon weekend, and that's something I'd really like to do in particular. Like an intentional weekend off to just watch probably a movie series, to be honest. Very kind of like cozy vibes, being in my own space, being comfy. Just sounds like a good time. Number 46 though was to fully unpack my school stuff, and considering it was like halfway through the year prior to this that I had actually kind of left my teaching job, it had been like 6 months or 7 months-ish of that stuff just kind of sitting in a box on the floor, so I'm glad I got that done. Number 47 is one that I know that Vogel is very interested in, and this is doing like either it's called a float tank or a sensory deprivation tank. It depends on where you look, but I like to do that as kind of like a date day with Jess and Vogel's outing. That'd be nice. Get a new office floor mat. We did that one as part of the kind of office reset that we had at the start of the year. Release printables on my shop. Did that one in August. And try a pumpkin spice drink happened at the end of September. Wasn't really for me. Like, it wasn't bad, but I think I'd prefer matcha. Like, I say matcha, I don't mean like unsweetened matcha, I mean like those green tea frappuccinos that they do at Starbucks. Very tasty. On this side, sadly, all of the numbers are kind of bleached, so they're a little bit harder to see. I mean, they're kind of hard to see here anyway. These ones are kind of a pink color, and then these ones got sun bleached because I left my journal in the sun open for one afternoon. But anyway, number 51 was to host a workshop. We did that online. We did a goal setting workshop. And then 52 was to finish more book club books than in 2022. So in 2022, I only finished 8 out of the 12 reads, but in 2023, I finished all 12 of them. So maybe I'll add another one onto my 101 things list, which is like finish all of the book club books. And I kind of prefer that to be at number 12. Essentially, anytime I have a item on the 101 things list that relates to a number, I do prefer to put it with that number. So for instance, like celebrate turning 32 was number 32. Rachel's favorite things day was 25 because she's born on the 25th. Kind of just makes sense. We then have do a live pen swatching video and do a live productivity sprint video. We did both of those. Get a shared savings account. That one we did in April. And then formalize my level 10 life scale. That one I have started. I'm hoping to finish it before the end of this year, so I'm not going to transfer it over. But if it doesn't get finished this year, I will end up transferring it over. 57 was celebrating Scotty and Nathan's wedding. That one was a lot of fun. And then 58 was to take a trip with friends. We did start planning it, but it never actually ended up happening. Whereas next year, I know I will be taking a trip with friends, so that one is going to get moved forward. Though the wording of it is probably going to be slightly tweaked. Number 59 is to do a foot peel soak. I don't really know how to describe this without it being kind of graphic and kind of gross. And while I'm still kind of interested in it, I don't think I'm interested enough to put it on my list, so that one can stay. Do a Bujo murder mystery. That would be so much fun, and I'd still be kind of keen to do it, but I think that the energy required to do it is not something I can even fathom putting in right now. I might end up adding it to my list next year, but I'm not going to add it right now. Into a little stretch of things that certainly happened. I did get a library card in January. I did set up my new filming space, also in January. We moved the fairy lights, which are down in our living space, in April when my parents came over. And also in April, we hosted Readathon 3.0, which was with Monica and Rachel. Something that I was super keen to try was making lavender lemonade, and that was an entire saga, like actually getting that to happen, but that happened in March. Absolutely delicious, do recommend. And then number 66 was to try a new flavor of ice cream. I'm sad that I didn't write down what the flavor was, but considering it was March 11th, I have a sneaking suspicion that this was marshmallow flavor when I went to the Cold Stone Creamery in the US. And it was delicious. Go to a concert was the Ed Sheeran concert at the start of February, and make cookies, which I have been meaning to do for like literal years. Not to say that I've never made cookies before, it's just that like in particular I wanted to make chocolate chip cookies for the last couple of years and just like never gotten around to it. I ended up doing that in October as kind of like a little treat for my friends when they came over for a crafty day. Number 69 is to make a goal planning course, and this one has technically been started, so we can half cross it out. It's not going to get finished this year, but it is going to get finished next year, so I'm bringing that forward. Number 70 was to vote in the general election. We did our voting in October. And then making an iced chai latte I did in November, but I would kind of like to try it again and do a better job of it. I'm not going to add it to my list, but it is something that I would probably like to try out again. One that we will be moving forward is making either roasted or confit garlic. I am super intrigued by the idea, and we were going to try and do it in December before we left for our holiday, but it's only a couple of days until our holiday and it's not going to get done then. Number 73 was to make a DIY lip scrub, and in particular I added this on a day where my lips were feeling super chapped and super dry, but that's kind of more of a one-off thing for me rather than a common occurrence, so since that day I haven't really felt inclined to make it. It'd be interesting, but I don't think it's necessary. Number 74 is have a JCC or JashiiCorrin community meetup in Melbourne. That one got done. And then having a favorite things party. We did that for Rachel's birthday. Effectively, this is a party where everybody brings 3 of their favorite thing. So like 3 of the same item. And then people do kind of like a swap of the favorite things when they get there. So everybody goes home with 3 new favorite things, or favorite things of other people. Number 76 was celebrating my brother's birthday, actually with my brother, because this is like the first birthday that he's had in many moons where we've actually been together in the same city. In order to do the voting in the general election, I had to enroll to vote, and I kept putting it off, so I added it to my list so that I could check it off. I finished my branding deck in July. I also transferred videos to my new external hard drive in July, and then also sorted them on the external hard drive in July. Seems that there were a lot of things that happened in July, because then I also replaced my old floor mat and upgraded my face-forward camera, both of which were excellent choices. And then a super fun one, which is in August, I made my reading journal. After a lot of umming and ahhing and kind of like wanting to do it, but not thinking I read enough to do one, yeah, bit the bullet, actually made a reading journal. Number 84 I'm pretty proud of, which is do 7 days of consecutive exercise. Can't necessarily say that it's happened since September 10th, but you know, at least it happened once. And then because it's at the end of the year, yes, I have set up my 2024 bullet journals. Now into a couple that I think are going to happen before the end of the year, and if they do, I'll cross them off and they'll be done. If they don't happen, I probably won't pull them forward. But 86 is to have Christmas in Australia with the family. Number 87 is to get hot jam donuts at the Queen Vic Market, even though it's going to be the middle of summer. I don't care, they're delicious. And then number 88 is to go to Sovereign Hill. We're at least booked in for Sovereign Hill, so that one will probably happen. At least if Have Christmas in Australia happens, which I do not foresee that not happening, but knock on wood. Then we have get a new face-forward camera, which I seem to have written in twice. So it's like upgrade my face-forward camera and then get a new face-forward camera. So that's a bit upsetting that I ended up doubling up on one. And then we have number 90, which is to start a low-key newsletter. I would like to do that still, so we're going to pull it forward. It's not going to happen before the end of the year. But one that did happen, which was quite exciting, was featuring Monica's reading journal on the channel. I'm glad that she let us actually do it. It's like the second most watched video on my channel. It's sad when you have a YouTube channel and one of your most videos doesn't even feature your journal, but it's fine. No, she did an excellent job of it, and it's just nice to showcase her work. Number 92 was to do an end-of-year reset. That one was finished on December 13th-ish. I mean, the dates It doesn't really matter, honestly, which date specifically, but it's kind of nice at least to know which month I did these things in. Declutter my stationery supplies. That one happened on the 1st of December, and it's just so nice to have gotten rid of a whole bunch of stuff. You know, they've gone onto homes where people are actually going to appreciate them and treat them right. Getting the deck stained and getting the windows washed are certainly things that I would like to do next year, and I finally finished making my work task master list at the end of October. That one took me a very long time to do. Making a content creator Notion template, we're going to move that one forward. I made some templates for my membership posts just to make posting a little bit easier to do on a kind of like semi-regular basis in terms of like when they're coming out. Like they were always coming out, but a lot of the time they got pushed to the end of the month, and I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more spread out over the month as a whole, and that's really helped a lot. Getting a pressure washer, would like to do that. Celebrate New Year's Eve with my friends. This is one I like to put on my list every year, so I'm gonna end up putting it on next year's list, but I'm not going to cross it off or anything like that because I'm still hoping it happens this year. And then number 101 is always to write my 101 things list for next year. We haven't done it yet though, so I can't cross it off, but it's gonna happen. Now as we've had a look at all of these ones though, what we're gonna want to do is start to think about populating my list for next year. But before we actually jump in and start writing anything down, I just want to make sure that I have any other ideas out of my head. So is there anything else that I want to add to my 101 things list before I write things in? Mainly because, as I mentioned before, if I have anything that's tied to a number, I really like to put it with the corresponding number on the list. So for instance, turning 33, or reading 12 books, or I don't know, doing 24 24s in 2024 or something like that. If it's specific for a particular number that's between 1 and 101, I would like it in the relevant place. This time around, I decided to do my brainstorming on a computer, honestly, just because I can type faster than I can handwrite. Also, it's a little bit easier to pull them around into an order that I actually like once they're all typed into my computer. But some of the things that I'm asking myself throughout this brainstorming part are things like, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to try? Is there anything that I'm looking forward to in particular that I kind of want to commemorate by putting on the 101 things list? What are some tiny or quick wins that I can bake into this? A lot of the time my 101 things list is about memory making and tiny accomplishments. So those little things that are gonna light me up if I get them completed, or they're gonna be a little nice memory of the year. As said before, when I'm doing my 101 things list, I'm not necessarily aiming, 1, to fill it all the way up on the 1st of January, or 2, have everything 100% ticked off by the end of the year. To me, it's very much okay if I only complete like 50 things out of 101, because having them written on the list just acts as a reminder of what was kind of important to me at the time. Once I've done my brainstorming though, it's then time to think about the order I want to put them in and then put them into my journal on my 101 things spread. In terms of putting items onto the list, I started off with any of the ones that I want for a specific number. So for instance, writing a letter to 2025 Jess, put on number 25, celebrating my 33rd birthday, put on number 33, finishing all 12 book club books on number 12. Of course, writing my 2025 101 things list on number 101. And also I like to put Have a Favorite Things Day on number 11 because 11 is my favorite number. In terms of the placement of the other items though, I decided that any of the ones that are getting transferred from this year into next year, those are the ones I'm gonna put in first. Mainly because I kind of valued from my 2023 list, knowing that all of the ones that were at the start were pretty much all things that I was carrying forward. Just like we talked about though, the ones that I'm carrying forward are get a will, have an art and wine night with my friends, have a spa day, do a proper launch of my website, have a staycation, set a date for our wedding, make chicken korma from scratch, make a memberships trailer rather than a Patreon trailer, make and release an episode of Kai Time with Vogel, host a cocktail night, once my friend can drink again, get a new to us car, organize my Spotify playlists, have a movie marathon weekend, do a sensory deprivation tank, make my goal setting course, make confit or roasted garlic, get the deck stained, get the windows washed, get a pressure washer, make a content creator Notion template, and start a low-key newsletter. There were a couple that I put in that first section that aren't actually being carried over, and that's because I wanted to have ones related to my goal setting course together. So those ones being open my course for founding members. These are going to be the first people into the course and the ones who kind of give me a little bit of feedback to see if there's anything that I can do to make it better before it opens to everyone. And then number 19 is going to be opening up my course for everybody. Then jumping over to number 27, we have the things that are new. So getting my eyes tested, going to the dentist, going to a chiropractor, because I very much feel like I need to, getting my cervical smear done, because that's something I have a tendency to put off and it's kind of important. Then I accidentally wrote go to again, and I didn't mean to, so I left it for a bit, but eventually came back to it to write go to a coffee shop for work. This is something that I'd like to build into my routine a little bit more than just once in the entire year, but I think that getting over that initial, like, going there once is going to be a big deal. So putting it down on the 101 things list to get myself over the kind of fear associated with that. I'm not like scared of the coffee shop, I'm just kind of uncomfortable working in public. But anyway. After this though, we have get tested for ADHD, go wild in Texas, have a JCC or JashiiCorrin community meetup in Texas. I want to host a readathon. I want to go to Sydney for our bookshop hop, and this is the one that's going to be replacing that taking a trip with friends. If you want to go to the Sydney bookshop hop, you let me know. It's going to happen in October of next year, and I am excited. We also have get new bedside tables, which is something that I've been meaning to do for years and just haven't gotten around to it. Finish setting up my bookshelves in my office, because I kind of want to design them so that they look the way that I want them to. I want to get a mat for my desktop, mainly to put my phone on so it doesn't just sit on my desk. I'd like to restructure and organize my file storage. This is something that I started in December, but I think it needs a bit more work. I want to make an office inventory of all of my different supplies, mainly just so I know what I have. It's a little bit easier to have an appreciation for things if you actually catalog them. I want to sell my old laptop, help my mum and dad declutter for their move, formalize my quarterly planning routine, cable manage under my desk, and get my computer repaired. The last one that I ended up writing in was celebrate New Year's Eve with my friends. I wanted to put this at the end of the list though, because it's going to happen at the very end of the year. I don't typically actually try and order the list in terms of when I'm going to accomplish it. I mean, you saw how kind of all over the place the list from last year was, like February, March, October, March. But I'm feeling very good about having this list in. As I said, I don't like to try and fill up the entire list before the year starts. I want to give myself some opportunities to think of other things, find different passions and things that excite me and that I'm interested in. And so only being up to 47, or technically 49 if you include these two, that doesn't bother me too much. I would love to know though, what are your some of want to do's, would love to tries for next year? They could be things that you would put onto a 101 things list if you have one, but just in general, I would love more inspiration for mine, so I would love to hear what you would put on yours. Let me know in the comments below, but if you were wondering how I'm populating the rest of the layouts in this notebook, then this video is the next one to check out. Click or tap on that one and I'll see you over there.